Let's dig into Google Drive. The easiest way to get there is, again, to click on this box and open up Google Drive. You can also access it by going to drive.google.com, as well as bookmarking it if it's somewhere that you go frequently. So I've pulled a couple of images in. We pulled these in actually from email. So we've got all those here now, and they are basically just sitting here in my drive. One of the things I really recommend is creating folders here in your drive to keep things better organized instead of just having a bunch of files in your drive. So I'm going to click here on New, and in this case I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to say Images for Website is going to be the name of this folder. So now I've got a folder here, and what I want to do is now select these images. So if I've clicked on this first one here, if I hold down either Control or Command, I can select multiple images, and then if you right click on those, you've got the option to move to, and then it pops up any of your folders that you have here. So I want to click here to go into this folder, and I want to click move here. So now I've moved all of these images into this one folder. So they're much better organized now. Instead of having a drive folder full of a bunch of different images, I've now got those all in one folder here. You can also upload an entire folder from your computer. So if you want to click on the new and then folder upload, you can easily upload a folder from your computer into Drive with all of its contents. So that's a great way to get some data into Drive. I'm going to go back to this folder for a minute, because one of the ways I really recommend organizing your Google Drive is with permissions specific to folders. A lot of people will come in and give somebody's permission just to this one image, and that can really create a lot of confusion. Or they'll add them to each of these images, and then they're just kind of disorganized for everybody. They're in different places, the names don't always tell you what they are, and it can get really complicated. So one of the things I like to do, we're going to double click here on this folder, and now if I click here, I've got options that are specific to this folder. So I can share this entire folder with someone, or otherwise just get a shareable link to this folder, which will make it public, or it'll ask you what you want to do, but you'll have to make it public in order to generate that link. Only people with the link can really find it, but one of the best ways to do this is just share it with specific people. And there's a number of settings here. You can control if they can edit or just view it. If you click here on more, there's a ton of other options. And you can even control these permissions by person. So if you want to give certain people access to edit and certain other people access to view, it's really, really easy to do that. So in this particular case, you would just add the person. If you put somebody in your contacts, they should pop up automatically. This is this account, so it might be a little funny with this. And then you control the permission over here, whether they can add, organize, and edit, or if they can just view this. And then typically it's good to type them a quick note. You could just say, hey, here's that folder with the images for the website, and they'll be good. By default, this box is checked, so whatever you do here, it's going to send them an email just basically inviting them to this folder. If you do not need to send them that email for some reason, you can just uncheck this box and they're just going to be added, but it generally doesn't necessarily notify them. It's probably good to just send the quick email and be sure that that makes sense. So again, really organizing your drive using folders and then controlling permissions by those folders is really a much better way to organize the system. So there are a couple other views here. You can also click to list view, which I tend to use more often. If you have a lot of folders, viewing sometimes in list view is a lot easier. One other thing to note, if someone shared something with you in Drive and you haven't directly added it to your Drive, you may have items here in the shared with me folder. So you probably want to check this out, just see, because if people have shared stuff for you and you haven't clicked add to my drive or organized it somehow in folders in your own drive, you may have items here. I talk to people all the time that have items here and don't quite realize it, but they know it's in their drive somewhere, but they can't find it. So definitely check the shared with me. Recent is another great feature if you're just looking for items that you used recently, regardless of folder. And then you can also star items. So if you did star something, we'll go back here and go into this folder. And so if I added a star to this, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can do it through here, add to starred. So say that's the main image I want to make sure that we use or that I can always find. Now when I go here to starred, that's going to be here. And additionally, just moving items to trash keeps them there for 30 days, and then they're generally permanently deleted after that. So hopping back to Drive real quick, you can also now drop down this little caret here and it will show you your other folders. So another good way to work in here, and again, you can see I've got this folder, or if I needed to create another folder, then now I've got that, and you can see that as well. This icon here shows that it's shared with other people. This folder I haven't yet shared with anybody, so I can see here that this is private only to me. You can also click on these headings to be able to sort these items. So if you wanted it to be reverse alphabetical order, just click on name. You can go back, click on name again, and now it's back in alphabetical order. So a great tool for sorting and controlling how you view items. Shared drives is a feature you may or may not have. Typically, it's in a G Suite account and not in a Gmail account unless you have been added by someone that has a G Suite account. Shared drives are a really great feature because the file structure, unlike my drive, is consistent for everyone. So if you're invited to a shared drive folder and you make changes in that folder, they're going to be reflected for every user. If you're in your drive, in my drive, and you move items around, that's only going to be seen by you. So another user will view it in however they have it configured, and you may see it a completely different way, which is great for personalizing how you view things. But sometimes in either a team environment or a brokerage environment or another type of setting, you may just want to have some shared drive files that the structure, the file structure and hierarchy is exactly the same for every user. So the one thing about shared drives that isn't yet available is you cannot control folder permissions within a shared drive. So you can control who's added to this drive, and you can see that we've already got some members in here, but you cannot create a folder within this folder and then control separate permission levels in that. So it's basically a global permission level in this shared drive, which is fine because you can create a shared drive that says images for everybody, images for graphic designer. Just make sure you name the folder something that makes sense and then provide the appropriate permission levels. So I'm going to take a real quick look into some of the file types in Google Drive. You can use it as storage, upload PDFs, upload other documents that you need here, but you can also work inside the system in a really interesting collaborative way. So Google Docs is probably the easiest and most popular. So if I'm back here in my drive and I hit new, I've got a number of options here. We're going to start with Google Docs. So really great system to be able to keep notes or start to create a document that multiple people can have access to. And again, if you save this in a folder, it's going to be connected to that folder's permissions. If you need to just share the specific document beyond the folder permissions, then you can truly just, you can just share this specific document with somebody. And again, it's the same permission levels. If you want to give them edit access, comment access, where they can add a comment, but they can't change any of the text within, or if they simply should be able to view and cannot add comments. So you just type like a normal document. It's got all these basic WYSIWYG editor type of things. You can insert images or control your text or add bullets, change the fonts, any of those basic things. One other interesting feature that's recent is you can click here to go ahead and move the file in your drive. So in this case, I want to move this. Let's just say I just started this document, but now I want it to be in this images for website folder. Let's just say I'm making instructions for the website person on what images go where. So if I now add this to this folder, I can select it there and hit move here. It's going to give me a warning that, hey, now this item is going to be visible to everybody who has access to that folder, which is good. It's good to give me that notification, but I also want it to be accessible to everyone in that folder. So please use the starred image for the home page. So again, now we've got great notes. We can go through here. We can even assign this to people. If we had this is how you add a comment. Let's just say I wanted to add somebody in that. I'll tag myself in this. So I'm assigning this now to myself if I choose to. Make sure to add designer to. So now I've got a note in here. This is probably going to send me an email as well. But so now I've created a comment and I've also assigned this task to myself to make sure that I follow what I've assigned myself here to do. Another really great feature and commonly used item here is Google Sheets. It's essentially the same as an Excel or a similar product to that, but it is also cloud-based. So you can invite multiple people, control the permissions, anything like that. So, again, in this case, I'm going to call this just sample sheet, but lots of great things you can do here, from sorting to auto totaling or averaging certain fields. Great way to potentially maintain a client database or do a net to seller sheet or anything like that. We're not going to go into it in this example, but you can also create a template. So if you did have a seller net, and there are some great existing templates in the Google system, but you can create your own templates, and then you could just come in here and modify it for that specific case. So we're not going to dig into that here, but very powerful tool that's essentially very comparable to Excel or any other sort of spreadsheet platform. One question I do get a lot is using Excel files in Drive. And the simplest way to do that is going to be just to upload the Excel file or Word doc or whatever the file type is. Not a PDF won't work, but any sort of editable file. If you simply do file or folder upload and upload that document, you're going to get an option for, I don't have one in here, but you're going to get an option here for open with. And so if it's an Excel file, either an XLS or XLSX file type, you can just go here and go to open with Google Sheets, and that's going to automatically open it in Google Sheet format. For the most part, it's going to preserve all your formulas, your colors, anything you've done there. But experiment with that first before you delete any other files. But you can upload the file, the Excel file, do open with Sheets. And then once you do that, you'll see a little tag here that'll say Excel or XLS. You're just going to want to hit save, and it'll give you the option to save as Google Sheet. And once you do that, it'll in essence be fully converted into a Google Sheet format. So those are the primary features of Drive. Great way to organize at a hierarchical level and share folders and just otherwise store documents that you access commonly. It's also another great tool to be able to collaborate with people on your team, people outside your team, or clients.